One of the most fun parts of my job this time of year is watching the preschool children prepare for the Christmas pageant. I get to see angels and shepherds and all those folk getting ready for their big opportunity to sing in front of the crowd. It's a ton of fun. But as I watched them prepare, it reminded me back when my son Austin was in preschool, and he had a last-minute opportunity to be Joseph in the play. Well, I was really excited about it. His friend had gotten sick, which wasn't so good, but I was excited, proud mom. But he was like totally reluctant to be Joseph in the play. He would have much, much rather had a staff in his hand and been out with all his friends as a shepherd in the field, moving around, having a few lines. And he said to me, what's the big deal about Joseph? I mean, you just sit there. You don't say anything. I mean, isn't that the truth? I mean, so much of us have kind of that feeling about Joseph. And if you think about it, if you think about the hymns we sing at Christmas time, if you think about the beautiful paintings, there's usually this orb around Mary and the baby, and Joseph is kind of off to the side, kind of in the dark. Maybe sometimes with a cane. But Matthew, the gospel writer this morning, sees Joseph as an important part of the birth of Jesus Christ. In fact, Matthew spends the first chapter of the gospel talking about Joseph's lineage. He begins with 17 begets, father begetting son, starting with Abraham and then moving to David, and then from David to Joseph, the husband of Mary. So to Matthew, Joseph plays an important role in this nativity scene. He's the descendant of the royal line of David, to whom Jesus was born, the Messiah, the one foretold by the prophets. And so this business with Austin and the pageant got me thinking about Joseph and the role he assumed. Mind you, the role that he did not seek out to become Jesus' father. I mean, Joseph was a regular guy. He was betrothed to Mary. And betrothal back in those days was much like marriage. It was binding. A betrothal was binding in every single respect. It was like being married, but not consummating the relationship. It was like being married, but not living together. So you can imagine when Joseph learns that Mary is pregnant, his reaction. I mean, he thought that she had been unfaithful. Pain, betrayal. I mean, that kind of stop in your tracks moment for him. I mean, the kind of news that thrust him into a situation he could have never imagined. Confusion, unknowing, and hard choices for a man of that day. Because there were really only two possibilities for Joseph. One, he could publicly declare what he thought Mary had done, that she had been unfaithful, her infidelity, and according to law, she would be stoned likely. Or he could divorce her quietly, dismiss her, which he had chosen to do. But an unexpected visitor and thing happens that evening. Bible commentary Alice McKenzie has a beautiful way of putting it. She says, on a night much like Christmas Eve, an angel hovered near, whispering a message of God into Joseph's sleeping ear. The angel interrupted the nightmare that Joseph was having, these visions of accusations and estrangement that played in the theater of his mind. And the angel replaced all of that with a vision of a manger and a boy growing and becoming strong. Here, whispered the angel, is the key that unlocks your dilemma. Believe her unbelievable story. Marry her. Marry her and become the father of God's child. In this way, she writes, I imagine the Father of our Lord was born that night. Can you imagine that moment? I wonder what it would have been like for Joseph when he awoke from that dream. I mean, we don't have any idea how Joseph felt. He speaks no words in our gospel. He says nothing. We're only left to imagine what this sudden curve in his life meant to him. How now his life with Mary was on a different course. His actions speak louder than his words, don't they? That night, he accepted this holy invitation filled with mystery, filled with his hopes, his fears, his confusion. But somehow deep inside, Joseph knows that this is God's work at hand. And God is working in a way he knows that he could never possibly understand or imagine. Righteous, law-abiding Joseph makes a compassionate and really unconventional choice for the day, for that time. He makes a choice that's grounded in his love for Mary, I am sure, but in his deep and abiding love and trust in God. He listens to the voice of an angel, not society's whispered innuendos. He takes Mary as his wife. It had to have been hard. And as the angel commands him, he names the newborn Jesus, which means God saves. And he's called Emmanuel, which means God is with us. That's the scandal, that God is with us. I wonder if we can hear the words the angel speaks to Joseph and Joseph's response new this morning. That the unexpected in our lives are sometimes surprising opportunities to see God at work in our lives, doing something new, maybe especially when all seems lost and we are trying to save ourselves, but we can't, or when we feel deep in our heart abandoned and forgotten, things aren't going the way we planned. It's not easy, is it, to live in this kind of unexpected type of way? I think it's one of the most challenging parts in life. I mean, we like a plan. We like to know what comes. I like a plan. I like to map things out, to solve a problem, to try and figure it all out. I always feel for our seniors in high school and our seniors in college this time of year, because literally everybody, I do, ask them, what's your plan? What are you going to do next? Where are you going to go? And I wonder if we could say, wherever you go, I know that God will be with you always. But it's a challenge for us all. We like plans. We don't like to get caught unprepared. Yet we know that many of the joyful, amazing things that in life happen in the unexpected moments. And they bring us great joy. And then we know that many of those unexpected things in life can bring us great pain and fear. And we spend our nights wrestling with how to respond, not in fear, but in compassion. It's really easy as we get ready to get to Christmas to forget that Mary and Joseph were real people. They weren't living out of a fancy stained glass window. They weren't just characters in a perfectly staged nativity play. They were flesh and blood people like us. And I think the more we can imagine them like us, like you and me, with ups and downs and fears and hopes and uncertainties and faith, presented with day-to-day circumstances that are literally beyond our control, the more we can imagine ourselves responding like them. People who find that God can do amazing things, everyday people who have lots of decisions to make, lots of choices, and in the midst of it all, we find that Emmanuel, God is with us. Faithful people who discover that God is in work in our lives, even though we don't have the foggiest idea of what God is doing or up to. Maybe Joseph and his surprising path to fatherhood offers us some good insights this fourth week of Advent. Advent is a season of waiting, yes, of waiting for the coming of our Lord. But it's also a season of living into the unexpected, the mystery, the gift of this holy child who came to reveal God's love for you and for me in the most amazing and surprising way possible, reminding us all that amid all our scurrying around, our all than less than perfect Christmases, pageants, dinners, the things that aren't just as perfect as we hope them to be, God continues to call real people with real frailties to bear the light of Christ in the world today. So as we move toward Christmas, I pray that with Joseph, we can see the possibilities in the midst of what sometimes seems impossible. That we can be alert, really alert to the way God is moving and working in our lives, the way God is made known to us and people. Trusting that in the midst of it all, God comes to us to be with us. Not to be with us as we should be, or how we hope to be tomorrow or someday, but just as we are today, here in this present moment. What is God telling you this fourth Sunday of Advent? What dream are you called to be a part of, even in a situation that's way beyond your control? What part are you called to play in God's unfolding pageant? With Joseph, may we all kind of step out, listen, step out in faith, believing and listening, and let our lives be transformed by hope and the Holy Spirit in ways that we could never possibly imagine. Amen.